The Perfect Monster, a memoir by Emily Johns. Once upon a time, I received an award at a fun faculty meeting. As I wandered my way up to the front of the room to accept my superlative, the Good Girl Award, I began to blush. And it was not with pride. My colleagues called me out on my worst nightmare, carrying the torch of rigid black and white thinking in front of God and everybody. Like many driven adolescent girls, I spent most of my life working to maintain my good girl persona. I was a peacekeeper, a pleaser, a rule follower, and a clean the house perfectly the first time before mom gets home kind of girl. If I were good, everyone would be happy, and I would be successful. My success came from minimizing risks by trying few new things and bypassing failures by not trying those new things for the first time in public. The irony, however, is that as a teacher, I took pride in empowering girls to take risks, to step outside their comfort zones, to find their inner voices. I think that I blushed that day because I was teaching them how to conform and had no idea that it was happening. Not long after I started working at this particular school, I began to have what I call an allergic reaction to the place. This was a small, conservative, southern boarding school for girls in a quasi-urban environment, complete with well-tended gardens, manicure lawns, and parlors reminiscent of plantation tea rooms. The Southern aristocracy could not imagine a finer institution for educating their daughters. As girls walked to class, conforming to uniforms of their own making, they preoccupied themselves with outer appearances. Sending an adolescent girl to this school was like sending a glob of unfinished business into a designer girl factory. Down the conveyor belt she would go, stretched and thinned, pushed and pinched, tightened and tucked, filled with just enough intellect and religion, downloaded with all the right social connections, and accessorized with all that the good life has to offer. And then suddenly, as if from a cloud of pixie dust, she would emerge, labeled with distinction, the good girl, the market's hottest new commodity, just like the Barbie that each senior class clothed and accessorized and donated to the school's collection. 60 years of perfection preserved behind glass. What a legacy. When I first started teaching there, I asked a lot of questions. Why is it wrong when girls don't smile, but okay when they sleep through class? Why do we use photos on ballots when we vote for girls for some leadership positions, but not others? Why do we issue consequences for behavior embarrassing to the school, but don't follow through on recommended treatment and assessments? There were unwritten rules and conventions that I did not understand. I felt like a bull in the china shop every time I followed my intuition, only to discover that that's not how we do things here. Like a good girl, though, I learned to play by the rules. I had to, for survival. The name of the game? Keep them happy. Outwardly, I reinforced the culture. Inwardly, I felt shame. When I looked in the mirror, I saw me as the world must see me. Outspoken, a freak, a fraud. Am I crazy? Became my disclaimer when questioning school practices. I thought, if I can claim crazy, they can't use it against me. While I successfully played the part, the factory's fumes still got to me. After 1 year, I found myself immobilized by anxiety. Head dizzy, heart pounding, hands sweaty. I never felt this before, and I really thought I was dying. I tried long walks, yoga, deep breathing, wine drinking, anything to help me return to normalcy, but nothing was working. Finally, I visited my friend, energy worker and healer, to see if she could help me rewire my thinking. This may sound strange, I said, but I feel homesick, and I've never missed home a day in my life. Close your eyes, she instructed. I started to cry. Tell me what you're missing. Dirt, the smell of dirt, and fresh cut grass, fresh air, food pulled from the garden, farmers markets, long walks, campfires, stars that I can see in my backyard, denim, people who are just down to earth. I just want to be able to breathe. She wrote down my list, quietly acknowledging and repeating each phrase as I snorted and sobbed through mucus and tears. She read my list back to me. Then, as if emerging from a cloud, I realized I was the one missing. I had lost myself in that plastic doll refinery. I have since learned that when we become so focused on a singular model of success, like looking good rather than being real, we can detach from ourselves. Artificial environments are fertile breeding grounds for anxiety and depression. If I was feeling this way, no wonder that 1 in 4 girls nationally suffers from mental illness. I am beginning to understand that we must be deliberate in fighting our perfect monsters. Girls need us to. They will not be able to feel an authentic sense of self until we, the women in girls' lives, dare to bear our blemishes. We must admit when we tried something that we regretted, did something that didn't work, or quit something when it got too hard, and then we must show them how we lived through it and that we might even be better because of it. But only then, when we are able to dare to be authentic human beings, will we be able to do some of our very best teaching.